Hello, in this video we will be going over how to use value in order to create the illusion of 3D forms in our drawing. In front of us we have our worksheet. Let's zoom in on our first shape right here. Our first form is going to be achromatic. This means we're not going to be using any colored pencils. We're going to be sticking with our drawing pencil in order to use the range of white to black in order to show the light and dark areas of this cube. So in our value scale, we're going to be using the 0% white all the way up to 100% black. Before we start filling in the shape though, we gotta know one thing. Where is our light source? For this first shape, our light source is going to be coming in from the top here, meaning that this shape on the top is going to be our lightest surface. Our shape down here is going to be our in-between value. And then this final shape on this side is going to be the darkest. So let me demonstrate what I mean by that. So here I have an example of a real life cube. And just like in our drawing, our light source is coming in through the top. So this top surface here is what's going to be hit by the most amount of light. And as you can see, it is therefore the lightest part of our cube. Now, it's not perfectly white because the tin itself is in fact blue, meaning that the lightest surface will not be a complete white. So in our drawing, we're also going to be adding just a tiny bit of value in order to mimic that. This side here is getting the second most amount of light. It's going to be in that 50% range in our value chart. And then finally, this shape here is the darkest side. It's getting the least amount of light that we can see. So it's going to be more in that 75% range. And then in our drawing, we have a cast shadow, which will be in this general area, which will be pretty similar to the value of this side here. So when we go back to our drawing, we'll be using this as the guide for which sides are going to get value and how much value we're going to give each side. So let's go back to that drawing. So now that we know what range of value we're going to be using, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with our lighter areas first, and we're going to move our way into the darker areas. We're also going to be using a softer pressure when we press down on our pencils. That way we can get those lighter areas really light, while also getting those darker areas really dark later on. And be sure to use the side of your pencil rather than the tip, so you can be sure that those values will be very soft. Our first layer is going to be very soft, so just rest your pencil in your hand and gently add in that value. Like I showed in that first, in the real example, we're not going to be keeping this top area a solid white. We're going to make sure that it's just a very, very light value. Also, don't push down very hard. Like I said, keep your grip very loose on your pencil. The less pressure you put down, the less value you're going to be adding into your drawing. I'm going to keep that consistent value all across each face of this first shape. When we're working with colored pencil, we're going to be using a lot of layers. It takes a lot of time, but it gets you a really good result.
Here are your messages.
So if we pull up our value scale, we can see that this is definitely between that 0 and 25% range. This one, again, we want to try and get to 50%. Our final side, again, is going to be somewhere in this range. Let's begin our second layer.
You have 30 minutes to move your car. You have 10 minutes. Your car has been impounded. Your car has been crushed into a cube. You have 30 minutes to move your cube.
Is it about my cube?
Your cube.
Is it about my cube?
Your cube.
Alright, So I filled in both these sides here with a bit more value, and if we take a look back at our value scale, we can see that this value is definitely between this 25 and 50% range, which is where we were aiming for this side here. Yet this side is still just a bit too light for what we're trying to go for, that 50 to 75% range. So we're going to have to push that one just a bit further. So let's start adding another layer to this face of our shape right here. Okay, so I've added a couple more layers to this side here. It's definitely in that range of value that we wanted, somewhere between 50 and 75, pushing more for the 75 here. And as you can see, I did get a little bit messy towards the end there. Not to worry, we can just take our eraser and clean up some of those edges. I also went around the sides of this shape here on the insides and actually used the tip of my pencil to fill in those gaps between our face and these edges here in order to get a very clean edge all the way around our shape. So last but not least, we're going to be adding in that cast shadow. I'm going to go ahead and just gently map in where I think I want that to go. And then just gently fill that in with our first layer. And just like all the other sides, we want to build up that layer slowly. We want to get it into a value range that's very close to this side right here, perhaps even just a little bit darker.
Hi, kids! Welcome to Camp Krusty! I've turned things over to my bestest buddy in the whole wide world.
So that'll do it for our shadow. You can see how it's maybe just a little bit darker than this face here, and that's definitely what we were going for. So some final thoughts. If you want to do some touch-ups, like I mentioned about taking your tip of your pencil, just go around these edges, try to get them clean. You want to get rid of as much of that white space as you can. And that'll do it for our achromatic cube.